welcome to Ohanga. Today I will be visiting Elena at her home art studio. Elena is a printmaker and painter. She is currently finishing up her study at RISD, Rhode Island School of Design. Let's get started. Elena, thanks for having us here. What are you working on?
So I'm coming to a close with this eventually. I'm still working on some major parts of it, but I took a big break while I moved back to Providence. But it's a lot having to do with watching the news this summer. This is my facial reaction, I guess. A laugh out of you. I totally love the humor of painting. That's what I hope to participate in, I guess. But I'm making a lot of work right now about turning 22, because I just turned 22. And self-portraiture for me often attaches to numbers like that, and I like to hide them in my work. It looks very small on this easel. It didn't look as small in my last apartment. I'm learning about adding glow and stuff like this with different materials and painting techniques, because I studied printmaking at RISD, so I've never taken a formal painting class, but I really enjoy the experimentation that I'm getting to do with painting. So that's been fun. This is my most recent painting, again, birthday related. I'm doing a lot with trying to confuse the sizing of the body with the viewer. So I look huge compared to a very small window, or I look very small compared, or I look, or vice versa, I guess. But yeah, I'm playing a lot with the sizing of objects versus the sizing of the I pay a lot of attention to the edges, so I like to tape things off and paint outlines.
So is this kind of inspired also by the COVID quarantine? Or?
Yeah, totally. All of these paintings are isolation inspired, okay. Including those two.
Okay.
I used to only work in the studios at school, like literally every day of the week, all day long. This is the first time I've ever set something up outside of RISD as a studio for myself.
How long does it usually take you to finish a painting?
I mean, I like to differ the amount of time, I guess.
Okay. So it can be from hours to days?
Yeah. I would say I'm never doing one painting in one day.
Yeah.
But some people are.
Really?
Totally. Yeah, like it just depends on your style and like what you like about painting, I think.
Right.
But I really like to layer for a long time, so I think days to weeks is more likely the correct number. But not usually months. Like I'm usually done before a month hits. So. But yeah, sometimes I prepare my sketches for paintings digitally. So like I'll take like 6 or 7 pictures of myself, and then use Photoshop to kind of play with the composition, and then go from there. So when you started this piece, did you go into it planning on the mixed media? Oh, okay. So this piece, I started with a picture of wood grain that I was like obsessed with. This picture of wood grain. It was so intense. It was all these really dark, contrasty lines, and I really wanted to paint it, so I painted it, the whole thing, and then I was like, I want this to be mixed media, which was due to a fascination that I have with incorporating textiles into printmaking, which in turn makes mixed media.
So you knew it was the textiles that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just like really wanted to add textiles. And it's because of the texture that I can add by like cutting away the painting. So in reality, I did a whole painting and then cut these shapes that matched the wood grain. And then I wove that, this piece of textile basically on a separate loom that I also made, because it was basically just a frame. very basic. And then I took that woven textile and attached it behind this painting. So it combined the two mediums, equaling a mixed media piece. But I really liked that I could play with these like shiny paints, and then the matte tones of some of these, this yarn and fiber, and then I also had some really shiny fiber that I used as well. And the colors are really pretty intuitive. I was just kind of playing with contrast, and different combinations like that, and then I bought the bright yarns afterwards to accompany the paint. I feel like this piece would hang really well in many different like atmospheres, but the mood is pretty like, I guess it's kind of whimsical because it's not necessarily only vibrant, and I don't think it's like so contrasty that it's or it's so muted that it's
not
mellow.
disruptive.
It's not
Yeah.
disruptive. Yeah. And I think it's pretty organic, and it guides your eye through the piece, so it's not frustrating to like look at. Like sometimes your eyes get like stunted by like I don't know.
Can you talk more about like the organicness next to these colors?
Yeah, so the shapes are inspired by that organic wood grain that I had it was actually a piece of wood that I bought to carve into for another project as a print. But I was obsessed with the wood grain and I really didn't want to carve it, but I had to, so I took a picture and then wanted to like use those organic shapes with inorganic colors, so that it draws your eye to certain aspects of the organic shape. So kind of accompanying it as well as highlighting certain areas. But I also think depending on who you are and the colors you like, your eye goes to a different area first, which is fun, and that's not really something that happens with the figurative paintings that I have been making. I think your eye just goes to the figure. So this was really fun to make. I don't usually make work that doesn't have a person in it, but it was fun. Oh, I totally picture this with like either like a colorful couch, like kind of like our couch, like a colorful room, or
like the statement piece.
Or it's the statement piece where it's the bright color, because there is a lot of color in it. So it can either kind of hide into the wall with your other colorful objects, or you can like draw attention to that room with the really bright color. If I kept this, I would probably hang it with our couch or with my couch. But I would really love for it to hang somewhere else. Okay, so this piece is mixed media, and I really wanted to make that obvious to maybe it's not obvious to the artistic eye necessarily, but I wanted to make it obvious to other artists that it was mixed media, and really play that up. So I I incorporated the way that I made this orange frame into the final piece. So this green is how do I describe this? The green frame is the way that the orange frame was made. So I'm showing the process kind of in the final piece. Does that make sense?
I kind of want to.
I don't know how to describe that.
So wait, can I rephrase that?
Yeah.
So this is a print, right?
So
it's so much
this
about
incorporates prints.
So it incorporates prints, and it's so much about process.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So like in building this orange frame and this green frame, I set up a world kind of for this landscape to exist within. And this is a lithograph. These are fabric scraps basically that I stitched together. This is a silkscreen print, and that's some canvas that I painted. And then that's all stitched onto a frame that I wove that's 2 directions, that's attached and built by this frame of nails that I set up like basically a 2-way loom to weave the orange yarn, and then stitched the paper to that woven frame, and then painted the green frame. So it's on a very sturdy object as its final position. Like this wouldn't be framed again, I guess. Mm-hmm. It is framed as the object, so it's incorporating the process into it. And also multi-directional weaving is not a thing. So like I think the main thing I'm interested in mixed media is that like, since I'm not a textile artist, I can do things that are wrong, but since I am a printmaker, I can make good prints. So there's a balance of like real art and like DIY, or like or the elite and the DIY, which is my favorite part about mixed media. That's also what I like about the oil painting with the weaving, is like weaving is an old-fashioned like women's work term and job, and I think a lot about that kind of thing.
She exists well in this neutral chaos too.
Thank you. Yeah, and I do a lot with mushrooms because I really am drawn to the organic shapes and how I can kind of make them up, and they can have their own little personalities, and they grow from decay, which I think is like my main conceptual interest.
Thanks for joining us. See you next time.